उधर दक्षिण अफ्रीका और भारत के संबंधों को लेकर साझा प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस की गई और इस प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में क्या कुछ कहा आपको सुनाते हैं।
Look at the Indian diaspora in South Africa. There was basically three streams that we can distinctly speak of. Those that went as indentured Indians, mainly from UP, Bihar, Tamil Nadu, and Andhra Pradesh. That is why the Indian community in South Africa, at least those emanating from indenture background, are from four linguistic groups: Tamil, Hindi, Telugu, is widely spoken, and later on the Gujarati community came. So the second stream came as traders to service the first stream, the workers that decided after the 5 year of indenture, they had the choice of a passage back to India or remaining in South Africa. The value of the cost of the passage, we were given some land, and many chose to remain and make South Africa their home. So you had then a thriving Indian community, and you had the merchant class coming, and they were mainly from Gujarat, and that's how the Gujarati stream came into South Africa. But another stream that came was the professional class. As much as you had the traders coming to service the community there, many in the community, of course, got into problems and they needed professional services, because this was not provided by the government of the day, whether it was education, whether it was health services, or whether it was legal services. And that's how you had Gandhi coming to South Africa. You had a young lawyer hired by one of the merchants in Durban to come and fight a legal case that the merchant was involved in. So you had this young lawyer coming there to fight this case. The question I normally raise when I reflect on our history is, had Gandhi not come to South Africa, would you have Gandhi that came back to India 21 years later, enriched by the philosophies that were evolved in the South African environment, that of Satyagraha and Ahimsa? Because those two philosophies evolved as a result of his transformation in what he experienced in South Africa. And how would that have impacted on India's freedom struggle if you didn't have the political Gandhi who was transformed from the young lawyer into the political activist, returning to India to take a very active part in India's freedom struggle? So therefore I say, in many senses, both our struggles are joined together by the umbilical cord. Gandhi's transformation to come here and lead your freedom struggle, but he also set in motion a political process in South Africa, having experienced firsthand the discrimination of the majority community, including the Indian community in South Africa, the exploitation and the inhumane treatment of the workers in the sugar plantations. Because if you look at the history of the indentured Indians, it was nothing but slavery, the conditions under which they lived, and the treatment by the white colonial masters. So you have that important link. But likewise, Gandhi politicized South Africa, because the African National Congress, the first organized political movement, not just in South Africa, but in the African continent, was founded in 1912. But as early as 1894, a year after Gandhi arrived, he founded the Natal Indian Congress, the first political formation in South Africa, which was to impact on the African National Congress, because later they became Congress allies. The Natal Indian Congress was formed, and then the Transvaal Indian Congress, because Gandhi saw the need to organize oneself to agitate against the ruling elite of that time and the power of the collective to champion the cause of those being exploited. And that itself impacted on the larger African psyche that led to the formation of the African National Congress some 18 years later. So you can see the impact of the Gandhi factor on South African politics or liberation struggle, and the Gandhi factor on India's political struggle and liberation So that's the basis that ties us together and give us this firm foundation upon which we build. Fast tracking a bit, coming to the period pre your own independence, you were the first country in 1946 that championed South Africa's isolation, the apartheid regime. The first country globally to impose sanctions on South Africa was India. You imposed economic sanctions on South Africa in 1946, and this was followed by comprehensive sanctions, which included cultural and economic sanctions and social sanctions against South Africa. And that, of course, in turn became a global movement because you, within the UN system, championed the cause of our liberation struggle, and you were a leading voice in that. So again, you played such a seminal role in our liberation and the freedoms that we enjoy today. India's hand is to be seen everywhere in the role that you played. Within the first Asia-Africa summit in Bandung in 1955, you gave us space. As a country, the African National Congress sent delegates there because it was under Jawaharlal Nehru. It was one of the initiators of the first Asia-Africa conference. And again, just as a newly liberated country, we were already thinking of the global south. So when you speak of India today as a voice of the global south, it is nothing new. You were the voice of the global south way back when we were not even, the major part of Africa was not liberated. We were talking about liberation and the liberation of fellow countries. So I keep reminding my Indian colleagues, yes, you must and you are playing an important role in the global south. But remember, you occupied that post long ago. So we shouldn't forget a thread that joins us from the time of your own struggle and the role you played in the struggle of the global south to become independent states. As early as when we formed the African Unity, the Organization of African Unity, the OAU, 1963, there were only 32 African states that were sovereign states, only 32. And that will give you an idea that the journey wasn't an easy journey, it was a long journey, and India was part of that journey. So when you speak of the historical relationship between South Africa and India, it is also in many ways a template of the historical relationship between Africa and India. Africa being made part of the African Union during India's presidency of the G20 was a major, I think, takeaway of your presidency and correcting an injustice to Africa in excluding Africa from the G20 when it was elevated to a summit level in 2008. Put in the European Union there, but there was no space for the African Union. You rectified that wrong that was committed against the African Union. So you have this long history. The point I'm making, Venkat, is that you played such an important role in our struggle. And when we became a democracy, it was natural that diplomatic relations were formed. In 1993, we formally signed off on establishing diplomatic relations between our two countries. In 1994, you opened an embassy in Pretoria. In April 1994, in October, we opened our embassy here in Delhi.